just right now where the self-driving car business is, if it's already a $5 billion business for us, imagine how big it's going to be when we have 100 million new cars per year, 1 trillion miles driven per year. This is likely going to be one of the largest robotics industries in the world and one of the largest computing industries in the world.
Nvidia's robotics ambitions are set to gain momentum, according to CEO Jensen Huang. AI agents, self-driving cars, and humanoid robots were all teased out in his remarks at CES this week. So what do investors need to know about Nvidia's robotics business? Here with more, we've got Bob O'Donnell, TECHnalysis Research President. Bob, great to speak with you always. Just help us break through kind of the technical jargon and the complexities around the world of robotics. What is the biggest thing that investors need to know about Nvidia's expansion into robotics here?
Well, thanks, Madison. I mean, look, it's a long-term play. That's the most important thing to know. A lot of this is not going to happen overnight. You know, Nvidia has been in the autonomous car business, providing chips for autonomous cars and software for many, many years. And frankly, they were there a little too early. And so they kind of went in, and then they fell back out from the autonomous side. They always did the infotainment stuff, and now they're coming back in much more strongly. And one of the most important announcements that I think that Jensen made at his CES keynote, but I think got overlooked by a lot of people, is this idea of what they're calling Cosmos. So Cosmos is a software platform. It's an AI platform and a set of what they call world foundation models. And what it does is it allows you to do Gen AI for physical actions. And what that means is you can start to train things like robots and autonomous cars and other machines that react and do analog things in the physical world, but by using Gen AI training methods. And so what Cosmos can do is convert the physics of digital models and simulations into real-world physical actions, and then generate content for them to use and train. And that's been a huge stopping point, frankly, for robotics, and that's why it's a big deal and will have a payoff, but it's going to be down the road.
And Bob, one of the things that stuck out to us in your notes was you talked about exactly that, right? Some of these software initiatives and NVIDIA really transforming itself into a software company. What does that then unlock in terms of growth potential for NVIDIA?
Well, I think, you know, and again, exactly right, Sean. I mean, that's the untold story, I think, around NVIDIA, is that over time, we're seeing them do more and more of this software. They did Omniverse, of course. They've done their NIMs and their other foundation models, and they're slowly but surely building up this. And with software, of course, you get recurring revenues. You get these software licenses and all of those kinds of capabilities. And if you start to own the platforms for new types of technologies, then, you know, you become the Microsoft equivalent for all these other worlds. So, you know, we think about Microsoft on the Windows side, and we think about Google and Apple, you know, on the mobile phone side. Well, maybe NVIDIA becomes sort of the platform for robotics. And they're working to do that, of course, with autonomous cars. Now, there's a lot more competition right now in autonomous cars. You've got Qualcomm has been very strong. Intel is actually trying to reestablish themselves in the auto side as well. But the bottom line is, that's the play I think that Jensen is trying to make, and it's a very smart one, but it's going to take a while before we start to see the real-world benefits.
Yeah, Bob, that's exactly what CEO Jensen Huang discussed with Yahoo Finance, talking about the future of self-driving for the company. I want to take a listen and get your thoughts on the other side.
Well, in order to train a robot, you need a lot of data. And the first version of consumer robots that we're all going to engage is a self-driving car. And we've been working on self-driving cars now for some time, and the business is some $5 billion estimated run rate this year.
So how does NVIDIA compare to Tesla when it comes to autonomous vehicles?
Well, it's a very different animal, Madison. I mean, look, NVIDIA supplies the raw components, the basic elements that you need in order to do this. And of course, Tesla does the finished cars. Now, Tesla is doing some of their own chips as well, but they don't have the kind of ecosystem that NVIDIA does. They don't have this drive platform. They don't have the Cosmos tools to be able to model exactly how devices are going to react in the real world. Up till now, you've had to drive the car, as Jensen mentioned. You're driving the car, and then you're tagging all the objects and then learning from that. With Cosmos, you can automate that process. And that's a real differentiator between, say, what NVIDIA is doing and what Tesla is doing. Plus, you're never going to see an NVIDIA branded car, right? I mean, that's not their game. So each of them have certain ingredients, but Tesla is doing it for themselves in a vertically integrated way. And of course, Nvidia is doing it for a whole bunch of companies all around the world.
Bob, there's a great piece in the Journal on the heels of the announcements that we got from Nvidia talking about why Nvidia, or maybe exploring the question as to why Nvidia may need to appeal to a bigger crowd. When you talk about some of the efforts that we've been discussing with robotics, self-driving cars, when it comes to gaming, are you on board with that? Do you think that makes sense at this point in the journey?
Well, I mean, look, they're in a great position now, and I think just with the blocking and tackling of doing better versions of GPUs and continuing their development with the CUDA software that's been driving all this AI work, they're in good shape for the next couple of years just with that. And what we're seeing Jensen do is laying out some things that move beyond that. The gaming side, they're doing just fine. They're going to continue to do fine. They had new GeForce RTX 50 series gaming cards that they just introduced. We've seen them really completely own the top end of the gaming market. But I think you're going to see them really start to drive more into these new areas. They're headed to where the puck is, they're going to where the puck is headed, so to speak. And I think that's the real intelligence of where Jensen is thinking about things. He's not content with where he is. And so, yes, in those other worlds, they are going to have new partners. You're going to see them focus more, again, on creating these software platforms. They made the Cosmos models open source right away, right? So they're trying to drive people to use those models, which in turn will lead them to starting to license some of their software and platform tools. So, I mean, that's the long-term play, and that's the way he's thinking right now. And I think that's the game they have to play.
Lesson out of the book from Wayne Gretzky, I guess, is what Jensen Huang is doing. All right, Bob O'Donnell, great stuff. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.